Welcome back to Purpose of Life, and we are talking about the faith of Abraham. Faith is an interesting topic, and faith is something which I believe we can exhibit. Not only exhibit, we can actually live it if we understand the principles of it. And we are talking with Dr. Simon. The question I asked before the break was the human side of Abraham. But before I get into that part of it, a very interesting part which I see in Abraham's life is every time God spoke, he made sure he built an altar.
Yes.
So what is so special about this altar? Explain that process.
Well, an altar is a point of meeting.
Okay.
Okay? An altar is a point of meeting. That's where a sacrifice has to be made.
Right.
And the Lord receives a sacrifice.
Okay.
So that's a point where, like for Abraham himself, he says, because of this covenant, this altar will be built as a meeting point between you and me, because it has been established.
Right.
So the altar was a symbol,
Right,
of acceptance of the call.
But Abraham made sure that he built altars wherever he went.
Wherever he went, because he needed a meeting point with God.
So that's key.
That is very key.
So one is the heart part, the covenant part, and Abraham made sure that the meeting point was there.
Because if you have a covenant that has been established, a covenant has responsibilities with it.
Right.
And one of the responsibilities is a heart of worship. And worship takes place in a place.
Correct.
This is why even today we have churches which are worship places, which are worship spaces and stuff like that. So he built an altar as a symbol to say that here I will meet you every time. So you come down from heaven, receive my sacrifice as I bring it to you.
That's very interesting, Simon. Moving on from the altar, the fact that Abraham moved, and there were a lot of challenges as he moved. Lot, who he was responsible, was also a challenge to his context. Explain, how do you, one is, yes, you meet the Lord, yes, you are on a covenant, yes, you are walking, but you're also in real life, you face challenges.
Yes.
So has did Abraham face the challenge of, as he was moving around, how did he deal with it? Explain that process.
Yeah. Remember, he has taken his wife, he has taken Lot, and he is moving.
Correct.
He is the only man that understands God.
Absolutely.
And they don't understand him.
They're just following Abraham.
They are just following him. He would just say, let's go.
And they went.
And they went.
No questions.
No questions.
So if
He built an altar. He says, this is a meeting place with the Lord who has made a covenant with me. And that's all. They went. Now, because of such challenges came, he is dealing with people who are not as faithful as he is. They will fight. They will quarrel. But sometimes he had to keep to himself those secret conversations between him and God. So he became a leader in his own life and for his own family. He became a leader. So some of the harsh encounters, like they are moving in the desert, and they have flock, and then Lot is blessed and Abraham is blessed. They all have servants they are working with. The servants are fighting. And Abraham has to deal with that. For the sake of God, he maintained peace. He maintained love. He maintained care. So because he had received God's word and God's power, all the attributes which come with God, which come with this package, were in his heart. So he did not worry despite the challenges. Why? Because all his focus was on God.
So that he kept
kept him going.
That in spite of the difficulties.
In spite of the difficulties, he kept moving.
So the key aspect which I'm learning in today's program is, number one, you spoke about the heart.
Yes.
That's very key. You've got to have a right heart, number one. Number two, you spoke about a covenant. God does make covenants even today. In the digital era, God does make covenant. we spoke about a MOU. MOU is not just one-sided; it's two-sided.
It's two-sided, yeah.
Many people think talking with God is one-sided.
It's only one-sided, yeah.
I think that's where the problem.
And they struggle because you will pray and pray and pray and no results because you know.
Yeah, you just expect God to do your part.
So just do your part, and that's it.
That's it. So that's what we understand. The other point which we also see is Abraham, as he moved, he faced challenges, but he kept his secret conversations with God.
Yeah.
He kept his peace with God. So he was not surrounded by situations, and he didn't alter his faith.
Yeah.
So Simon, we're going to deal more on this subject, and I think in the next program we're going to deal with, as the journey continued, how did he face situations?
Yeah.
And there was a very peculiar situation that God looks at Abraham and looks at, and there's a statement in Genesis where he says, "How can I not tell Abraham?"
Yes.
It's like God telling, how can I keep a secret?
How can I keep a secret? Somebody I have a covenant with.
Yes.
I have an MOU with.
Absolutely.
You know, he's a party to everything.
Everything.
So
Abraham is going to that level, and God is telling that. We'll talk about that. That's going to come next program, and there's more coming up. And I'm sure as viewers watch this, their faith level will increase.
Yes.
That's what is the key aspect. And we'll talk more about it in the coming program. So friends, this is Purpose of Life, and we are talking with Dr. Simon, who's the president of Shaping Generations. And don't miss the next week's program, which is going to get more deeper on the faith of Abraham. Thanks for tuning in.